Hello. Good morning. Very excited this morning. I want to talk to you about a story. Child of God, lend me your ears for just a minute. I want to talk to you about this young man. A story about one of the greatest young men who ever lived on the planet. There was a young man whose father was one of the greatest kings on the continent. But when he was born, he was given to be taken care of his whole life, and so he never grew up in the palace. So as he gets to a teenager, he felt like the palace was too boring, and so he left where he was at because all he saw was eating and studying and learning. He thought it was boring, and so he left one day, made some friends outside of the palace, and he was living his life. And whilst he was living his life as a young man, he fell into a lot of temptations, a lot of tryouts, a lot of tribulation, not knowing who he was. Oh my God. So this guy lived his life anyhow. But we thank God he never died. His life was spared. So one day, he went out, he was outside, hanging out with friends. He got so wasted and he didn't know what he was. And an old man saw him and he knew exactly who he was. That this is the next potential king and he's living a wasted life. So what he did is that he picked him up on his donkey and dropped him off in front of the palace. And when they saw him, they picked him up and cleaned him up the next day. And then when he woke up, he find out he's sitting in front of a king, not knowing who he was. Child of God, what is the moral of the story here? The moral of the story is that most of us, we are misplaced who we are. We are misplaced what we can do. We are limited ourselves to what we have in ourselves, just to do other things or just to please people. But today, Jesus says something in the book of John chapter 10 verses 34. He said, I say ye are gods and all of you are children of the Most High. The young man didn't know he was a God. The young man didn't know he was the next potential king. And so he lived his life anyhow. Today, my prayer is that you know the steps you are taking. Because you could be the next potential president. You could be the next potential king. You could be the next potential CEO. You could be the next potential greatest person ever walk on the planet. Please, I beg you, do not live your life anyhow. Live your life from this day with a purpose. And know that anything is possible in this life. Hey, hold up. Don't forget to share this with a friend, a roommate, a neighbor, and a loved one. Let them know that do not live a wasted life. Your life is very precious. You are a God, and all of us, we are children of the Most High. You take care. You stay blessed.